The Bear, Chapter 1, Coming Alive. The bear dozed. He remembered when he'd first known being finished. A hand stroked his head and he heard, "He's a good un, I like him." Then something hard under him. Some time later the light sensation faded and he felt himself being put into a small box. The box lay around and the bear heard taps now and again, and he thought the sound of more boxes around him. He wondered if there were more bears. He felt on his own, lonely. Time seemed long. He was moving slowly. A whack on top of the box which startled him, then a feeling of being weightless. Another shelf, he wondered, now moving faster and rocking about, more weightlessness, which he rather liked now. Another whack, another shelf, and the sound of people. Vibrations of moving people, he sensed lights. Off the shelf. A whack, a voice. £29.99, whatever that meant. And rocking about in a bag. A clunk and clicking dark place, moving again. Hands gently lifted him out of the box, a contented hum and a warm feeling on his cheek and something soft around him and a pillow and a kiss. "Thanks, ma'am. He's a lovely bear," said the child. Chapter 2, Growing. People moving about him, gently lifting. Were they bears? They weren't small and furry, but they were warm and had warm things. Gentle hands made him giggle. Laid on his back, he growled. As he felt more kisses on his eyes, he began to see shapes, ghosts, things. If he could move, he could avoid all those like the ghosts did. As his vision grew sharper, the ghosts became moving shapes. They were his home. They weren't bad, but they liked him. Cuddled him and kissed him until they fell asleep. The smallest seemed to like him the most, and when it grew dark he would always find himself in a warm place, being cuddled and kissed. This went on for many happy seasons, until eventually he found himself one day just left. The small one had seemed to grow in size, and the kisses and cuddles grew fewer. He saw that she was around less and less, until eventually she was gone. Life grew strange. He found himself in boxes with other wooden plastic smooth bears that did not move. But their company was not too bad. A long time it all went dark, and he couldn't say how many seasons passed. One day it grew unbearably bright. Hands held the box aloft and then sifted through the box. "He'll do for mascot." And the bear found him grabbed and roughly handled and tied to a large metal grid. "Bear's on the front. Looks great. Let's drive this lot to the landfill." The bear felt a great wind. His ears blew back and his side went fuzzy and one of his eyes seemed to have gone. Eventually the shock wore off and he found he was travelling forward towards the horizon and rising cliffs. More cliffs on either side. They stopped by one cliff and part of it opened and his heart rose. It was another big bear like the ones that had kept him at first. But it wasn't them. The cliff closed and the big bear came towards him saying, "Where'd you get him?" "Call him Deadeye." And then got into whatever the bear was tied to and the moving started again. He seemed to be like this for another few seasons till he fell off and was left in the cold wind. How he longed for the first big bears again. He started crying, which felt much better. But then the rain increased in strength and he fell asleep, crying. Light and the sun warmed him, hands grasped him. "Look, it's a fun bear. Worth loads of money, them. Oh my God, I made this one. There's my mark. I'm going to do him up. Only needs an eye and some stuffing. All dark, then warm, then light, and hands gently doing things to his fur. He felt re-inflated. He had lost a lot of weight in the wind and rain. Then his misting eye came back, and the other felt tighter, seeing brighter, seeing. He looked down and saw he was his old shape again. His eyes were sharp again. He was warm again. He was stroked again. He heard a voice. He's a good un. He'll do. He would be loved.